Hi, my name is Roy Collin and welcome to the show. I've also got five podcasts: The Awakening Podcast, exposing fraud and corruption, but with solutions; the Crypto Podcast, on about all things blockchain, NFTs, crypto; the Meditation Podcast, talking about all different types of meditation, but there's also meditations there from 1 minute to 2 hours. And the other one's the Learn Polish Podcast. So if you're interested in learning Polish, you can do that. And the other one is Speaking with Roy Collin. And I just have guests from around the world talking about either public speaking or also about their book or just general life in general. And you'll find everything on bio.link/podcaster. I'm also a podcasting coach. And you see the QR code there, and it's also on my link as well. And if you're interested in actually going on some podcast shows, I'm helping people doing that. Or if you're interested in sponsorship, you can contact me. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, DanielPackard.com. He helps people with anxiety, stress, and addictions. He's got a 90% success rate, and you only pay if you're successful. So be sure to check him out, DanielPackard.com. I hope you enjoy this week's show. Welcome to the Meditation Podcast. You can find all our episodes on meditationpodcast.org. My guest today, he's actually back for the second time because I had such a wonderful conversation. I'll even go deeper. I'm actually going to read a bit of stuff because previously I didn't do that, but I'm going to say just a few things. He's a UC Berkeley engineer, and he overcame his own anxiety after a 10-year battle. But then he spent 8 years researching this and worked with 3,000 people, which on 5 continents, which is incredible, which means he really wanted to do this. Got a 90% success rate, and totally different to what the industry does. It's a case of you only pay if he's helped you. And I wish every industry was doing that, but that's not the case. I've actually partnered with him because I know him for a few years. He actually helped me at one stage when we met in Ibiza, and it was incredible, the advice that he gave me. I've met a few people that have gone through his program that just sing praises. I've looked at videos of NFL professional athletes with incredible testimonials, but also I know one of his employees who's 8 years. Like, how many people employ somebody that long? It's very rare. And how he speaks about him, Daniel's not aware about that. He just loves you. He loves what you're doing. He loves the way you're helping people, no matter what their circumstances are, because you care, you're from the heart. So please welcome Daniel Packard.
Oh, thank you so much, Roy. How lucky am I to be introduced with such meaningful words. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me, and not just seeing, what's on the surface with social media, but you know me more intimately from our experiences and all those ways. So thank you. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. Roy, I know you're a very successful podcaster, but you could also maybe have a side business where when people wake up in the morning, you give them an intro, like with your beautiful Irish accent. Waking up now is Jonathan. Jonathan is a wonderful person. He really cares. He's excellent with lawn care, and he knows how to order just the right amount of food from a takeout. Like, you have such a warm nature. I wish everyone could wake up with a Roy Collin intro. So thank you for having me, and to your meditation audience. It feels meaningful because I care about what Roy's doing in the world, and his audience matters to me. And what I'm going to be sharing with your audience on this wonderful episode is showing people who meditate. I love meditators because they actually know to put in the work. It's not just a bunch of theories every day or every other day or how often you do it. They really sit and they put time into it. They sit on the pillow or they breathe, and they do the difficult part of being a better person, which is actually putting in the time and doing it. And those are the people we like to help. And what I'm going to share with your audience is a way to take what they're doing and just get better results. So the benefit of meditation, there are many people do different types of meditations for different reasons. But Roy, let me ask you, what are some of the common, symptoms or pain points of why people meditate?
There's, I suppose, a lot of clutter, they're so stressed. A lot of people, they think, I'm stressed, I need to sit back and relax. But there's also, on the opposite side of the fence, there's people think I can't meditate because my head is such a metal clutter, and they believe I can't do it. And I also hear people saying, I can't meditate, I've tried it. And I say, how many times? Once or three times. And I said, did you eat once or three times and then you're done for life? So we kind of have to give things time.
That makes a lot of sense. And when I used to meditate, that definitely resonates with me. So our program and my expertise is in anxiety. But what we saw is anxiety is sometimes just the most painful version of symptoms that other people experience. Because your audience may say, well, I don't have anxiety. You may not have anxiety, but you may have stress or overwhelm, or you may have that overactive mind that you can't quiet. And when we developed our program, what we saw was the root cause of anxiety is also the root cause of a lot of things that people meditate for. So if you're listening to this and you have anxiety and you meditate to help with your anxiety, you're going to love what you're about to hear. But if you say, well, I don't have anxiety, but if you have an overactive mind, overthinking, constantly worrying, or stress, or overwhelm, anything where you're not calm and centered, this is going to help you. And it's going to help you get more out of your meditation. Because the benefit of meditation is it quiets that noisy mind, and it can calm you down. It can connect you to your heart and nourish you. That's one of the many values of meditation. It's why people do it. It's why I used to do it. There's only one limitation of meditation. Does that rhyme? There's only one limitation of meditation. And that limitation is, and I'll ask you, the audience, and Roy, once you meditate for, let's say, 15, 30 minutes and your mind quiets down and you feel calmer, is that the last time you have to do it? Or does that noisy mind and stressful feelings come back?
They come back. And that's why I think you have to kind of get into mindfulness as well, that you're, like, for example, brushing your teeth, that you're not looking at your phone, that you're present with everything you do. And that in turn helps you stay at a level without going from a nice meditative state to then driving in traffic, getting frustrated, going to your job, hating the situation, and you go from one extreme to the other.
Well, that's a very valid point. And yes, if you meditate, sort of you give yourself a dose of connection and breathing and quieting the mind, and then you do a little bit of maintenance through the day with mindfulness to sort of keep you out of those spinning patterns, that will definitely help. But the reason you have to do the mindfulness is still because we all know that even if you meditate, whatever you meditated for, it's going to come back. Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's not a limitation of meditation. It's because what our research showed was meditation is probably one of the best ways to manage the symptoms. It's good because there's no side effects aside from your butt can kind of go numb. And yeah, I went there. It's healthy. It's good. It's based in love and connection. It's beautiful. The only downside, you're still managing it. And the thing that you're managing, is we saw at the root cause of why people even need to meditate, the root cause of even why people feel fear and stress and anxiety and have an overactive mind, is the root cause that we saw underneath is that deep down, the average person just doesn't feel fully safe. Can you see that if you don't feel safe from within, then the symptoms that you meditate for are going to pop up, whether you call that stress, overwhelm, anxiety, panic, or spinning, overacting, thinking mind. Can you see that all of those are almost just symptoms because you just don't feel fundamentally safe from within?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. And so what I want to share with your audience is an understanding of how to address the symptoms at the root cause such that you could just feel fully safe. If you feel, the more safe you feel, the benefits of your meditation will last longer and longer and longer and can almost basically go away. That's been my case. I used to have to constantly meditate. Now I feel calm and chill as a cucumber, and I don't have to meditate anymore. Not because I became enlightened, but because our program helped me feel fully safe. And this has been professional meditator approved. What do I mean by that? So when we were doing the research for our program and our process, I spent 6 months living in the town where the Dalai Lama lives. He lives in a town called Dharamshala in India. So I wanted to go there and work with meditators because I knew that our program would help meditators get more value from their meditation. So I met some Tibetan monks that were there, and I chatted them up at a coffee shop, and I told them what I was doing. And they were very passionate Buddhists, but they were open. And I said, hey, I've got this approach such that instead of having to meditate for 2 hours a day in the morning and in the evening, what if you could just meditate for 15 minutes in the morning? Or what if you didn't have to meditate at all? And they said, that's impossible. Like you have to meditate. And I said, what? So I worked with one of these Buddhist monks for 3 days. He didn't go through our full program, but I showed him some of the techniques. And on day 3, he said to me, I normally have to meditate twice a day. And now it's down to once a day for about half an hour. And I said, can you see that if you kept going with these techniques, you could almost stop meditating altogether? And he said, yeah, I can absolutely see that. And then also while I was in Dharamshala, there was a nonprofit that was teaching nonviolent communication in the schools. And I said to them, well, it's great that you're teaching nonviolent communication, but do you understand if people don't feel safe from within, they're going to be angry and aggressive people? And they said, absolutely. And I said, what if there was a way for people to just feel safe from within? They would just be much less violent. And they said, that would be wonderful. So I showed them the program that we did. We did some trials with some of their students, and the students, by feeling safe from within, just became naturally less angry and aggressive. And so we're going to be bringing that curriculum into their curriculum to help teenagers feel just safe from within. So I just want to let you know that these tools have been tested in the hills of India with professional full-on monks in the hills near the Dalai Lama. Now, so that's what I want to share with your audience, is an understanding of how to feel safe from within, such that whatever benefits you get from meditation last longer, or maybe you don't even have to meditate at all. It's here to support meditators. So if you want to meditate every day and you meditate and you quiet your mind, but then your mind comes back and you're okay with that and you don't want to know how to get those results to last longer, you can leave now. But if the idea of getting more benefits from your meditation appeals to you, if the idea of just feeling safe from the inside out, so your overactive mind would quiet on its own, or you would just feel calmer, that's what we're here to talk about. Sound good, Roy?
Sounds excellent, Daniel.
Do you want to feel safe from within?
I think I've, in my own journey, that because I think you're aware of like me losing everything, and I went through trying different meditations, but then I got to a stage where I don't need to meditate. And it's basically in line with what you're saying. And I'm like, I am totally focused on everything I do. I don't have the mental clutter or anything. And I think the reality is kind of removing the anxiety, the stress from my body, that just from my mind, from everything, that I'm just in the right place.
Well, absolutely. What we teach isn't some fancy thing. It's based in the fundamentals. And if you're paying attention and you're growing, you'll learn, wow, if I could just feel safe, then all these symptoms, the insecurity, the doubt, the aggression, the impatience, the overactive mind, would quiet there on your own. Your own intuition will tell you that. And you, wonderful you, have figured out how to do that for yourself. But if I just walk up to a random person on the street, a meditator, and I say, hey, just feel safe, they're not going to know how to do that. And they're certainly not going to know how to do that quickly. For you to feel safe, did that happen over a month or two, or are we talking years?
Years.
Years. Yeah. So the value of what we figured out is we found a simple approach that works in about 6 weeks, so that you can get that feeling of safety, not only in 6 weeks, measurably in 6 weeks, but it's a step-by-step process. You kind of got there in your own way of exploring and trying and failing, but what if we just had a process that just took 6 weeks? Would that be better?
That would have been a million times better. And I wish I had met you when I went through all my losses and everything. It would have saved me so much pain and grief and time.
Yeah, exactly. What we're teaching and showing people is not fancy or different. It's all based in universal truths, but because I'm an engineer and I like results and I know that people are in pain and they don't want to spend years, if not lifetimes, we figured out how to systematize it. Now, I know your audience likes what they hear. They're like, oh, wow, 6 weeks feels safe. That sounds great. But that sounds a little too good to be true. So I get that. So I'm going to be sharing with you the understanding of how to feel safe. And it's just to show you that it's possible and that it can be simple and fast. But you're not going to fully believe me because your experience tells you these things aren't fast. Your experience tells you that these things aren't simple. So at the end of our conversation, I'm going to send your audience to my website where they can download a 45-minute training and apply one of the techniques that we developed so that your audience can really feel for themselves that what I'm saying isn't theoretical or too good to be true, that it's real for them. So if you're listening to me and you're saying, this guy makes a lot of sense, but I don't trust him, don't trust me. At the end, download the free training, apply one of our techniques, and feel this for yourself because I care about results and I don't want you to trust my words. I want you to get a result that you can trust. You know I like my results, Roy.
Absolutely. And just for those that might, because I know a lot are skeptical, but if we look at like the alternatives, like a lot of people will go to the doctor and they get a pill, which is numbing the pain, and they're on kickbacks and everything. So that whole industry is wrong. And then you've got therapists. I know people, they're going to therapists for over 10 years. And it's like, hey, this is a good businessman, not a good therapist. And like when people hear then that you've got a program that can resolve them in 6 weeks, not temporarily, but can resolve this, they don't believe it and they're skeptical. But the thing is, there's so many testimonials. I have personally seen so many people, talk to so many people, even as I mentioned at the start, your team member, he was telling me about a lot of different people. And for him, he's so passionate because he knows you're making change in the world. And like, when I went through everything, and basically that was the 08 crash, I saw people throwing in the towel. And when I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and it's all kind of hidden and people put down on the debts or something else. But there's a load of people that are really suffering. And the fact that you're able to bring something to the world that's actually healing it, it's innovative, it's rocking the industry. They don't want that to happen because they like having a patient for life. So all I would say is I know it works, but all I would say is, what have you got to lose trying this? Because basically with his guarantee, if he doesn't help you, he's not charging you.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's, the reason we have the guarantee is because it's just the right thing to do. So many other places you pay for results. If you take your car to a mechanic, if you take your car to a mechanic and 10 years later, your car still makes that noise, you don't like that mechanic. It's a problem. Or if you hire a landscaper and 10 years later, your garden looks the same or just a little bit better, you'll have a problem with that. But in this industry of spirituality and psychology and even religion, people spend a lot of time and money on things and they don't get results. That's not the issue. The issue is that we don't see it's an issue. I spent $100,000 trying to solve my anxiety and PTSD, didn't get results, and I didn't wake up and go, that's a serious problem. But I finally did wake up, and what I saw was this $1 trillion a year industry of therapy, psychology, coaching, personal development, $1 trillion, much of those dollars are your audience, doesn't deliver permanent results. And the reason I was awakened to this problem was when I stayed in a relationship too long, I came out of it with anxiety and PTSD. I spent $100,000 in 10 years going to gurus and spiritual teachers and retreats and therapy. I did EMDR and EFT and CGT and EFT and MOUSC. I did all the letters, Roy, and I hired all the experts with letters at the end of their name, and those letters didn't solve anything. But I was in so much pain that it woke me up, and I turned to God and Spirit, the big wisdom, and I was like, what do you want from me? What do you want? Like, tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. But I've been trying for 10 years and nothing's really working. What do you want me to do? And what I heard was the words that my dad told me when I was younger. He was an inventor and a scientist. And he said, Daniel, if something's not working, invent something better. And I thought, I heard that voice and I thought, oh, I thought he meant like bike parts or machines. But it awakened me that what I call the improvement industrial complex, it's not working. It's not getting people permanent results. And my dad also told me something. He said, results matter. Results is what people need. It's not theory and concepts and results. And when you're in pain, results matter. So I started my own research company to see, could we find a permanent solution for all these symptoms, the overactive mind, the constant negative thoughts, the stress, the anxiety? Could we just engineer a permanent solution? And it was not easy, but we figured it out. I was one of the first test cases. You know, I went from having a constant spinning critical mind that would beat the crap out of me every day, constant stress, constant anxiety, complex PTSD. The meditation helped a bit, but not that much. And I remember waking up one morning about 2 years into our research, and, you know, I was just calm and my mind was quiet. And I thought it would be temporary. I really did. I thought there's no way this is permanent. Like, there's no way we pull this off. But one day went by, 1 week, and after 3 weeks, it was just gone. And now it's been 10 years. I've been chill as a cucumber. And my team said, well, we did it. We figured it out. I said, no. We figured it out for me, but we got to help millions. And to figure it out for millions, we got to create a program that takes what worked for me and systematized it so that when anybody goes through the program, it's going to work for them. We didn't want people trying something and failing, because then you just feel more broken. So now, we have a 6-week program that basically has the steps and the sequence in just the right order. It's a 90% success rate. And we don't charge you at the beginning, just at the end when we get you the results. And the result is that when you come out of it, you feel measurably and permanently just safer from the inside out. And when you feel safe from the inside out, the symptom, the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm, the overactive mind, the things that you're meditating for basically go away and they don't come back. What do you think of that?
I think it's wonderful. And I know that you say it's in the body. And this is something that happened to me that, again, one of my long journeys that I wish I had met Daniel years ago, but I had a trapped nerve in my going down my leg in my early 20s. I was running a big job for the company I was working with, and it was so painful. So then they gave me painkillers. And I remember I was working in a porta cabin on a construction site, and I was bouncing off the site. Then I tried everything, chiropractor, acupuncture, the whole lot. They told me, get an epidural. I got the epidural, and they basically put me to sleep. And then I woke up, I was getting pains down the other leg. Eventually they said, no, you have to get the operation. And I was at my wit's end. I wanted to throw in the towel, and I was like, I cannot live like this. Got the operation, expecting to be perfect, and I wasn't. And eventually got my hands on a book, and through my mind was able to resolve it. And it was only a few years ago I realized that it was the stress of running a multi-million-pound job at a very young age that my body was reacting to it. So when you say it's in the body, I think you're dead right.
Yeah. So it's a good point, and that you brought up. And, you know, when we tell people that we're solving these things permanently, and the key word is simple. People like simple, but when you talk about the things that we struggle with as being a human, anxious, trauma, stress, overwhelm, overactive mind, because people have gone to the experts and gotten like 10 different theories. None of them really solve it. It feels complicated. That's what your experience tells you. This is not solvable. And if it is solvable, it sure as heck ain't simple. Then we come along and we're saying we just spent 8 years developing a program that not only solves it in 6 weeks, but it's simple. And people just, their experience tells them it's complicated because of what you said. But I want to share with your audience how we solved it, so that they can understand that this is simple. Because if I just say it's simple, they're not going to believe me. So I want to explain to you why we were able to make it, get a 90% success rate, and that's simple, okay? And the reason is that we were able to do that is because we wanted to. What do you mean? What do I mean by that? The experts currently sell things that manage things, whether it's meditation, therapy, hypnosis, medication, whatever you call it. If you look at what you've paid for, even a book, even an app, it's managing it. which is better than nothing, but it's usually managing it. It's never fully gone, or you have to keep doing it to keep it under control. It's management. And that's okay. There's value in that. Man, if you're in a lot of pain or you're struggling, management is certainly better than nothing. If you're in a boat and the boat is sinking and someone says, here's a bucket, keep bailing the water out and you won't sink and die and get eaten by sharks. Bailing the boat is managing the sinking, but it's better than drowning and getting eaten by sharks. So managing is better than nothing, but wouldn't it be nice if we could just plug a hole in the boat, bail the boat out, and now you have a boat that can sail, get it to shore, and be on the beach, sipping a Mai Tai. So most people are selling a lot of money managing it, and it's a really good business for them, and they're okay with it. I'm not knocking them. They've learned how to help people manage it, and they're passing it on. Fine. But they don't want to solve it. We wanted to solve. I'm an engineer and we wanted better results. So to solve it, we had to reinvent and come at this in a totally fresh way, because the $1 trillion improvement industrial complex, it's all stuff that manages it. So if we want to innovate, we can't keep regurgitating the same symptom management modalities. We had to develop something from scratch and through the perspective of, can we solve this? And the reason we were able to solve it is because I'm a mechanical engineer. And sometimes people say, well, Daniel, this is about the human experience and feelings, and you're engineering. Like, engineers are the last people to be good with feelings and emotions. I was once on a date with a woman and she asked what I did. And I said, before she knew what I did, she said, what do engineers use for birth control? And I said, what? And she said, their personalities. She didn't know I was an engineer. So I was like, lady, I'm about to impress you that I'm one of the few heart-centered, fun, playful engineers. But anyway, I get it. Scientists, science people, physicists, engineers, they're more in the mind. They're not so much in the feelings. We know that. But also psychologists, psychology and spirituality, engineering, that's not what I'm struggling with. No. But here's why engineers are good at what we do, because we are trained problem solvers. When I went to school at UC Berkeley, I was trained to look at a complex problem, create prototypes, make things that work, and solve it. We're trained problem solvers. And the way that we solve it is we don't approach things spiritually or psychologically, we approach them mechanically. And mechanical is great when you want to solve something. So most people are trying to solve their symptoms with spirituality and psychology. Now, there's value in spiritual and psychology, but it's theoretical. A lot of it's theories, like you're anxious because you have a scarcity mindset and you keep worrying about the future. And if you could be in the present, that would help. Or spirituality says, you're in the ego and you have attachments to something, and that's creating stress and anxiety. It's an insight of what's going on, and it's theory and it's understanding, but it doesn't give you an understanding how to solve something. To solve something quickly, you don't want spiritual or psychological. What you want is mechanical. Okay, if you're at a restaurant and all of a sudden you start to choke, I'm asking you, Roy, in your audience, and you start choking, and two people walk up. One person walks up and says, oh, wow, I see you're struggling. I think you have a scarcity mindset. You're really focusing on the air that you don't have instead of focusing on the abundance of all the air that is out there. And you have a real attachment to breathing. And do you see if you could let go? Like, do you want to hear that? Or do you want someone to walk up and say, hey, here's the issue. You have a piece of food that's mechanically blocking your airway. It's mechanical. And I'm going to apply mechanical pressure to your stomach, which is going to put reverse pressure behind the blockage, and it's going to pop out, and then your airway will be mechanically open and you can breathe again and live. In that situation, do you want an approach that's spiritual, psychological, or mechanical?
Mechanical. And just on that, it happened to me in Dublin when I was with my then wife. And I looked around, she looked at me, I was choking on a steak, and she just looked at me. I was stood up and everybody was just looking at me, and I had to give myself the Heimlich maneuver. So it's like, as you say, if somebody came in and gave me acupuncture or chiropractor, that wasn't going to help, but just the force so a mechanical measure is what's always needed.
Yes, exactly. Spiritual and psychological is great if you want to explore and theorize. There's value in it, man. But when you're in pain and you need a solution, mechanical. The problem is this is not our usual approach to our struggles. It's spiritual, psychological, so mechanical. So what I'm going to share with your audience is a because they like the sound of this, but they're like, no, my feelings, my mind, it can't be simple. It can't be mechanical. So we're going to do a little role play, a little non-sexual role play with me, you, Roy, and your audience, where I'm going to show them that maybe what they're experiencing maybe isn't spiritual or psychological. Maybe it's simple and mechanical. And if it's simple and mechanical, then maybe we do have a simple solution. Are you up for the role play?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So inner mechanics lesson number 1. Okay. Just to make things simple, what we saw, and I mentioned this earlier, is the things that we are trying to address in life, especially through meditation, the overactive mind, the spinning mind, the negative mind, or the stressful, scared, anxious feelings, those are just symptoms. You don't have anxiety. You don't have negative thinking. Those are symptoms of what's actually underneath. And what is underneath mechanically is that you don't feel safe from within. If you do not feel safe from within, mechanically, you will feel a feeling called fear. If you feel a feeling called fear, you'll then name that feeling stress, worry, overwhelm, anxious, panicked. So underneath those words, you're really just feeling unsafe. Also, if you feel unsafe from within, you'll feel a feeling called fear. And then your mind will think there's a problem or a threat, and then will start to spin trying to solve the problem that the body is telling them. So can you see that if you feel safe, if you feel unsafe from within, your mind will start to spin trying to solve the problem?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And your audience knows this. Have you noticed that when you tend to feel calmer, your mind tends to notice more good things, but then when you start to feel more scared and anxious, your mind tends to focus on more problems and negative things?
Definitely.
Yeah, the mind follows the body. So if you keep trying to quiet the mind, if the body feels unsafe, the mind will just mechanically spin again. So mechanically, you don't have an overactive mind. Mechanically, you feel unsafe, and your mind is a symptom of that. So as you can imagine, it's smarter to just address the root cause. So mechanical lesson number 1, your symptoms, the root cause is that you feel unsafe. Okay. So now I want to show you that feeling unsafe is also mechanical, because oftentimes people will say, well, why do I feel unsafe? I'm going to show you in a way that's simple and mechanical. Okay. We're going to do it with an interactive role play. And when I'm going to be talking to you, Roy, but when I say the word you, I'm also talking to your audience. So if I say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm talking to you, Roy, but also you, dear audience member, wherever you are in the world. I love you very much. So let's just do a little practice with the interactivity when I say the word you. Okay, pop quiz to you. By you means Roy and you, wonderful audience member. Pop quiz to you. Is anxiety or an anxious mind a symptom of A, being around your in-laws too much, or B, feeling unsafe?
E, feeling unsafe.
Gold stars to you.
But I know there's probably a lot of people have said A.
I understand. Well, at the very least, yes, but it's most likely B. Certainly, if you feel unsafe and you're around your in-laws, it's not going to help. Yes. Okay. So here's the role play. And as we do this, you're going to have a lot of questions, or you're going to want to analyze what we're doing in a lot of different ways. But all I'm trying to show you is that there are things that can happen that will mechanically make you feel unsafe. And then there are things that you can do to mechanically make yourself feel safe. That's what mechanical means. If you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. That's what mechanical means. Okay, so in this role play, we're going to be friends, okay? And normally I'm a good friend, but then all of a sudden, I start to be a not so good friend. So on the count of 3, you meaning you, Roy, an audience member, on the count of 3, I want you to turn to me and say, hey, I need your help with something. Okay, on the count of 3, just say the words, hey, I need your help with something. On the count of 3, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Hey, I need your help with something.
I honestly do not care. There are so many other people that are more important than you that I have to worry about. And if I get to them and I make them happy, I might get to you, maybe, but you are not a priority and you're not that important to me. And honestly, I don't even care how you feel. I'm more concerned with getting those people to like me, and I can't even worry about what you need. So if you need something, honest to God, I don't care and you're on your own. Okay. Does that make you feel unsafe and anxious, or safe and calm?
Unsafe. I was actually looking for the baseball bat at that stage because you got me some.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll make you feel uncalm and afraid. And if you feel fear, you will feel anger. Anger is like the protective reaction. But that's all mechanics. Okay? It's just this happens and then this is going to happen. There's not a single person, if you talk to them that way, is going to go, wow, that's so soothing. Thank you. It's mechanical. Okay, next level. On the count of 3, say to me, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3 to you, Roy, and you, audience member, on the count of 3, say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe.
Why are you telling me this? What is the deal with you? Everything is fine. You have a good life. Why are you freaking out? Why are you bringing it to me? I'm trying to enjoy myself, and you bring this drama and this craziness to me. Get whatever this is, get it away from me, because I do not care, and you are crazy, and you should not feel like this. Does that leave you feeling unsafe and anxious, or more safe and calm?
Unsafe and unheard as well.
Yes. Yes. And a possible baseball bat, 2 baseball bats at this point.
Well, the first slap didn't work, so now you're getting the backhand.
Okay. All right. Okay. So for the record, this is just a role play. I would never treat you this way. This is for the sake of science. But what I'm trying to share with you is that there are things that if something happens, you will quickly and mechanically, almost reflexively feel unsafe and anxious. Okay, so that is what will make a person feel unsafe. But the beauty of mechanics is if you understand the mechanics of something, you know how to move something one way, or you can move something the other way. If you understand how choking works, you can choke a person by putting something in their throat. But then, of course, you know how to unchoke them, if that's even a word, by pulling out the blockage. So if you know what doesn't work, when you understand mechanics, you know what does work. So let's see if I know how to make you feel safe and calm. So on the count of 3, say the same thing. Hey, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. To you, Roy, and you, dear listener, on the count of 3, say, the way you're treating me leaves me feeling unsafe. 1, 2, 3.
The way you're treating me lets me feel unsafe.
Thank you so much for telling me. Oh my God. It makes sense that you feel this way. I mean, look at how I've been treating you. It's not even anxiety. Like you should, and I'm glad you told me how you feel, because it's letting me know what a crappy friend I've been to you. And I'm so sorry. And I feel horrible. And I'm going to treat you better. And I'm going to try and rebuild your trust so that you do feel safe around me, because you deserve that. But in the meantime, just thank you for telling me. It makes sense. And I'm sorry. Does that help you? Does that make you feel less safe and anxious, or does that help you feel more safe and calm?
More safe and calm.
Yes. So in this role play, basically, the way I made you feel less safe is that I basically treated you poorly. And so there are things going on in this world that are happening to you from the outside world and other people that are making you feel unsafe. But also, is it fair to say that sometimes, to you, Roy, and really your listener, that sometimes we're not very good to ourselves? Sometimes we're kind of mean to ourselves?
Absolutely.
Yep, we all know it. So, but what you may not know is the way you're treating yourself is also leave you feeling unsafe. Our data showed that 10 to 20 times a day, the average person, completely unknowing to themselves, is treating themselves in a way such that it's going to leave them feeling unsafe. So the point of this role play is to say that basically there are things going on from the outside, but also the inside that will mechanically leave a person feeling unsafe. Can you kind of see that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally get. And even though you said it's a role play, that's something that everybody hears every day.
Yes. And it's not that you don't know what's going on. It's just to see that there's a simple mechanical correlation. Now, the downside is from the outside world and the inside world, there are things going on every day that you don't even know you're doing that are making you feel unsafe mechanically. It's simple and it's mechanical. So the downside is it's going on. The downside is it's leaving you feeling unsafe. And then you have to constantly meditate to deal with the symptoms. That's the downside. But if we want a simple solution to turn this around quickly, why is it good news to find out that this feeling of unsafe and safe is simple and mechanical? Why is that good news?
Because we know that it can be resolved.
Amen. If you know why a person chokes, you can make a person breathe. If you know why your knee is hurt, you can repair the knee. If you know mechanically why your car isn't running right, you can repair the car. It's simple. It's mechanical. When you take your car to a mechanic and they open it up and they see, that one of your spark plugs isn't working and that's why your car makes a weird noise, he doesn't turn to you and say, let's spend years exploring your car and really understanding it and realizing that your car doesn't feel empowered to go faster. And let's change the mindset of your car. They're like, no, it's a mechanical thing. Change the spark plug, you're in, you're out. That's the beauty of a mechanical understanding. And we figured out how to, in a quick, simple way, allow a person to feel fully safe from within. And I can tell you, I wake up every morning feeling safe from within. That's the value of what this gets you. A client reached out to me, I think it was about maybe 2.5 months ago, and his name was Andy. He's from Colorado, and he had had anxiety, overactive mind, and panic attacks since he was basically in his mid-20s. And he constantly was meditating to manage the symptoms. He said, meditation's okay, but I constantly have to do it. And if I stop meditating, all the symptoms come back and I can't live like this. I've tried everything. Nothing's worked. And he said, but I met somebody at a party who had similar symptoms to me and was a meditator. And they swore by what you did. He also said that they mentioned that you only pay at the end when you get results. He said that sounded, intriguing. So we were talking and I said, he also said that he couldn't go outside and play with his kids because he was always inside, scared and anxious and meditating. And he said, I just want to be a good father for my kids. And I said, what if, instead of trying to manage these symptoms, what if I could help you just feel safe? And he said, that would be incredible. He said, I haven't felt safe since I was a kid. I was like, hey, welcome to the club. He said, is that even possible? I was like, mechanical. So he did the program, and about week 4.5, maybe week 5, he reached out to me and he just said, thank you so much. And I said, what happened? He said, not only have I not had a single panic attack, not only have my anxious thoughts and my anxious body basically just gone away. He said, but I woke up this morning and for the first time, probably since I was a kid, I felt safe from the inside out. And he said, but that's not even the best part. The best part is I got to go outside and spend time with my kids. And he said, so I just want to thank you and what this program does, because it gave me my life back. But more importantly, it gave my kids their dad back, and it gave my wife her husband back. So that's the power of when you have a simple mechanical solution that goes at the root cause. What do you think of that?
I think it's beautiful. And just for those, because I mentioned at the start that, we're kind of working together now, loads of times you're telling me of different people, how you've helped them. It's not something that you're sharing here and everything. And I just love it, because from all backgrounds, all different situations, what they've done, and knowing that you've actually changed someone's life, or somebody was kind of feeling like throwing in the towel and just said last minute, okay, I'm going to try this. And then they're okay. Their life is great again. And I'm seeing from you, but I'm also just from your team as well, just talking to them. And when you see that, it's like you see how much this actually works. It's not a gimmick. It's not something that, just try this. It's like, I don't know anybody, because I'm like, I've had a lot. I've got 1,300 podcasts done. I've had a load of different. There's not one that says, hey, you don't pay unless we sort you out. Not one. So by actually saying that, that's not like, because there's even people, they have this kind of guarantee. It's like, oh, within a week you respond and all this. There's a load of people trying gimmicky things, and there's even people they don't return it and everything. And I know 100% that's not you. So all I say is, if there's people that are hurting out there, or you have a friend that you know is hurting, you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose.
Thank you for saying that. And, it's about results. And one of the results that what you're sharing with people is you have seen the value of the work we do and the results that we're getting. And, you're a successful person with a lot of influence, and you've also done a lot of therapy, personal development, spirituality. So, you're discerning, there's a lot of stuff out there that just overcharges and under delivers. And you, like me and your listener, cares about really helping people and need results. And the fact that you support and get behind what we're doing, is it's real proof. I mean, I look, everyone thinks they have the best thing, and I can sit here and say, hey, I think my thing's really great. Okay, that's me. But it's not just me. It's also Roy, who puts his time and energy and his passion into supporting this. And it's because, Roy, you really care about people, and you see the value of getting people a process that's very effective, that backs up our results, and really is effective and gets results. When you're in pain, you just need effing results. And that's what I stand for and you stand for. So if you're listening to this, you're thinking, this guy, Daniel, I can't trust him. Well, okay, it's not just me, but it's Roy too. And you trust Roy. And also, again, don't trust either of us fully. At the end, I'm going to send you to my website, danielpackard.com, to get a free training to use one of our techniques on yourself so that you can have an experience. You can't fully trust me or Roy. What we're saying sounds good, but I get it. You'll still be skeptical. You should be. That means you're paying attention. So stuff hasn't been simple. It hasn't solved. It hasn't gotten you permanent results. So what I'm just trying to do is create hope for you that a real solution is possible, and it's simple to create hope and curiosity. But then see for yourself, download the free training, apply the techniques so you can feel it for yourself. The other reason I want to explain to you why other stuff hasn't worked in the past is because when you've tried a lot of things that isn't engineered to solve it, you try it, it doesn't solve it. And then what do you end up doing? You end up blaming yourself and thinking it's your fault. That's how I used to think. Oh, if only I was a better spiritual student. Oh, if I just followed what my therapist said better. And what I'm here to tell you is this is not your fault. The experts are well-intentioned, but they have an incomplete model of how to solve this. And that's why you have failed. That's why you haven't gotten better results, and this keeps coming back. It is not your fault. It is the fault of the experts that you trusted. They're not bad people, but they don't know how to solve this, so you couldn't solve it. And I'm telling you this because when we worked with a client, I get this happen pretty regularly, but this happened about 3 months ago. A client reached out to us. Her name was Samantha from Massachusetts. And she said, I've been doing spirituality. I've been reading the books. I'm going to the retreats. I'm seeing a therapist and nothing's working. And she said, I just feel broken and like I'm going crazy and I'm trapped. And this is my fault. Like, I guess I haven't figured. And I said, no, this is not your fault. This is not your fault. And I said, what if the people you trusted to help you just didn't know how to help you enough? And she said, I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know any differently. I said, we're going to give you something that's engineered to solve this. So try this and see how you feel. And so she reached out around week 3.5, and we track our clients' levels numerically throughout the program. So we already knew that she was getting results, but she reached out to say thank you. And I thought she was going to say thank you because I'm feeling so much safer and calmer. She said, I'm grateful because I realized this wasn't my fault. I got really confused by a bunch of well-intentioned experts that sent me to the wrong location and didn't set me up for success. And that's why I failed. And so this program helped me lift the shame and the guilt of why I still have this, but it also quickly gave me hope because I saw in your program, this really will work. And so if you're out there listening to this and you feel, I don't know, like this is your fault, or like you're broken or trapped because your mind won't shut up, or you're always stressed and anxious or have panic attacks, I'm telling you, this is not your fault. You are not broken. Just the people you trusted to help you didn't know how to solve this, and so you haven't been able to solve it. But I'm telling you, I invite you to be open to the possibility of that this is solvable if you understand things mechanically. You can repair your teeth if you know how, or a dentist can. If your heart is failing you, there are experts that understand the heart mechanically. If you've ever hurt your knee or your ankle and you've had someone help you fix it, it was most likely mechanical. We know that things in the body, of which anxiety is a problem, it comes from the body, and the body is mechanical. So if this is making sense, I hope you can understand. I know you don't fully trust me, but be open to the fact that you really can be free of this. And the value of this mechanical approach and feeling safe is that you get what we all want, which is freedom. Like real freedom. When you're always managing these symptoms, you're never fully free. You're never fully free to be fully authentic, to be fully confident. The anxiety and the worry and the negative mind, it's always weighing you down. And there's a version of you that you know is accessible to you, but these symptoms keep you from it. And so if the idea of just being the full you, the fully authentic you, the fully confident you, so that you can show up for your family, the people you care about at work, if the idea of being fully authentic all the time sounds good to you, then just know, not only is that possible, and I'm telling you that because that's who I am, okay? This energy, this excitement that you hear, this authenticity, this is not fake. I'm not a psychopath. This is not cocaine. This is the effect of me using our own tools. So at the very least, if you're like, how do you know it'll work? I am high on my own supply. I have used these tools, and it's been 10 years of authenticity and confidence and freedom. And I know you don't maybe fully believe it's possible for you. That's why I want you to get the free training at the end and try it for yourself, so you can just see what's possible and give you some hope.
Beautiful. So where's the best place that they can, you've got those watching on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, they can see your name, danielpackard.com, but I'm just conscious of those listening. So you have the training. You might just mention again where they'll find you and how they sign up.
Thank you. Well, as you know, Roy, and dear listener by now, one of my favorite words is simple, okay? KISS. Keep it simple, sexy. Let's keep it simple. So if you've been listening to me and you've heard me say something where you're skeptical, but you can see maybe this could be simple. If this is mechanical, maybe this could be simple. Also, the fact that we back up our results probably means we're getting results. But also, what we're doing, if it doesn't work, you don't pay. So there's no risk to try it. That's all simple. So if you like simple and you want to know more, let's keep it simple. I'm going to send you my website. Okay, my name is Daniel Packard. Roy, an audience member, what do you think my website is if we're trying to keep things simple?
It's danielpackard.com.
Gold stars to you. Yes, let's keep it simple. And this matters, and this is important if you're at the gym, if you're driving, and I invite you to pull over if you're driving and maybe write down danielpackard.com. This matters. This is important. This can get you real freedom and joy and happiness. If you're at the gym, stop what you're doing. You look sexy and you're all sweaty. Stop what you're doing and type it in. danielpackard.com. You're going to go to danielpackard.com and you're going to see a training. And I want to keep things simple. So what do you think I'm charging for this 45-minute training?
Knowing you, Daniel, you're not charging anything.
No, nothing, because that makes it simple. It's completely 100% free. And that's free if you're in Ireland. That's free if you're in Scandinavia. That's free if you're in Antarctica. Wherever you're from, it's free. Even with the currency exchange, free. And it's free because I want to make it simple. You go to danielpackard.com and there's a free training. It's 45 minutes. It's not too long. Let's keep it simple. And in that 45-minute training, you're going to learn and experience two things. The first is you're going to understand what you are doing every day that's making you feel unsafe, that you don't even know you're doing it. That whole question of like, why am I so anxious? Why won't my mind shut up? You are going to find out, and it's something you're doing right under your nose. Then you're going to understand what is necessary that you can do to yourself so that you can then just feel safe from within. Then you're going to apply one of our techniques. You're going to do it and you're going to apply it. And by the end of the 3-minute technique, you are going to measurably, and I say measurably because you're going to measure this numerically, you're going to measurably feel safer. And things that used to stress you out or make you anxious or make your mind spin is not going to affect you nearly as much. And I got an email from a woman 2 weeks ago, and she said that training, just that 3-minute technique, she felt a feeling of safety she hadn't felt in her entire life. And when you feel within you the effectiveness of what you're doing, you're going to understand how we help people, but most importantly, that this can work for you. After all the things you've tried that haven't helped you, you're skeptical. You should be. You should have doubt. So give yourself a chance to see what's possible, apply the technique yourself, and really feel measurably with real results what's possible, so that it can show you that really you do not have to keep managing symptoms. You can be free of this stuff, free of the anxiety, free of the stress, free of the fear, free of the overactive critical mind. You can be free of that permanently and in a way of simple. And by applying this technique, it will give you hope that you can be free of this, hope that you can wake up every morning feeling safe, hope that you can be that incredible person that you know is in you, but you can't always access because of the anxiety and the negative mind, free to be that wonderful parent, free to be that wonderful partner, free to be that wonderful leader, free to be that wonderful person of your community. Can you tell I care about this, Roy? Can you tell I get passionate? So again, if you want to have some hope of what's possible, and that your life can be much better quickly in a way that's simple, then go to my website to get the training, which is, what's the cost for the training, Roy?
It's actually free, Daniel. It's free
What?
no matter what country you're in.
But it sounds so valuable. How could someone just give it away? Oh, I know. They're trying to make it simple and help people. Okay, they must have a complicated website. It's got to be confusing. Everything's confusing. Is the website confusing? Because my name's danielpackard.com. What's the website?
It's yourname.com, danielpackard.com. You keep it simple. KISS.
KISS, keep it simple, sexy. So thank you for having me, Roy. And to you, dear listener, thank you for trusting me. And yeah, I just hope you give yourself a chance at real freedom, because you deserve it.
No, thank you very much, Daniel. And thank you for what you shared. And I mean, as I mentioned, I know a lot of the case studies and everything, and I wouldn't be getting behind this unless I totally believed it. And what I'll do as well is I'll create a poll in the episode when I release it, because on the Spotify, and I don't know, is it on all the platforms, but basically definitely in Spotify, you can actually write how you found the training, and then I can actually publish that as well. I can see that. So I'd encourage you to actually try it and then come in and let me know as well in the poll. And I'm happy to share that with the listeners. So thank you very much, Dan. And just on a quick one as well, with my 6th podcast, that's thanks to you, because we're doing, Daniel's getting on some fantastic, high caliber shows. He christened me the Podfather. So I created my Podfather, and I have my mug my brother got me. And that's all thanks to you, Daniel, that you actually created that. So thank you very much. And just for the listeners, thanks for tuning in. So you will find all the episodes on meditationpodcast.org, and make sure you leave the comment as I've asked. Until next week, take care. Well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Be sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, and share with your friends. And you'll find all my shows with the QR code or bio.link/podcaster, as well as my podcast coaching. And I'd like to thank my sponsor, danielpackard.com, helping people with anxiety, stress, and addictions. He's got a 90% success rate, and you only pay if you're successful. Also, if you'd like to go on a podcasting tour, I can help you do that. And if you're interested in sponsorship, you can contact me on my bio.link/podcaster. Until next week, take care.